Wow, nature is in an interesting mood today. Add what? What am I adding? Nature is in an interesting mood today, guys, because like if I stand still, if I stand still, all of a sudden like chipmunks like just are like they're like, "Yo, man, what's going on?" Like they don't really care that I'm here. They're just kind of like watching. Look at all these weeds though. Like so, Lauren actually helped me with some of these yesterday. So these are the cucumbers. You like weed? You don't even know. So these are the cucumbers, but we have some. There's some gaps here where some didn't come up. But as you can see, she helped weed around the cucumbers yesterday, and then these are the pumpkins right here. So I started around the pumpkins yesterday. I didn't get the other side of the back row, but then I got then here's the watermelon. The watermelon's pretty iffy. I don't know what the hell happened with the watermelon back here. There may just be something wrong with this dirt or some shit. I don't know. And then I got the tomatoes over here. Look at how bad this is. Like the rest of this tomatoes, tomatoes are here. Lettuce is back there. Carrots is over there. Corn is over there. And then this is broccoli right here. That's all broccoli. And then the rest of that's all zucchini. Yeah, the watermelon's not. Yeah, I see like 4, 5, 6. I see like 6 watermelon plants. Actually, that may not be a bad thing though, because honestly, this stuff is gonna between the watermelon and the pumpkins. My concern is that I put them so close together, they vine out quite a bit. So I mean, I guess I'm not too worried that there's not that much watermelon because this stuff is gonna once it actually starts growing, if as long as it keeps growing consistently, then it's gonna be crazy up in here with all the vines and shit. So I'm actually kind of okay that there's not that much of that, but there's a lot of pumpkin stuff coming up. And I still can't believe some of the cucumber stuff didn't come up over here. Some of it might no, that's just weeds. But yeah, we're kind of missing some cucumbers here. Make a grape tree. Trees take too long to grow, man. Trees are too much effort. So I actually need to find a place to sit this if I'm gonna because I can't really weed and you know what they need? I swear, I know they added this feature. They need to add this to YouTube. They need to have where I can have like a. They need to have where I can have like a split screen. Do you have cages for the tomatoes? Right here, man. I've got 2, 3, 4, 6. I got 2 more right here. So I've got 6 tomato cages. But the thing is, I'm probably gonna end up going to Home Depot today to buy tomatoes because Melinda convinced me that if we planted the tomatoes in advance, that everything would end up coming up okay and strong. But like honestly, these are what my tomato plants look like right now. So this is probably the best one right here. This one's coming up pretty good. And then there's that one right there that's coming up pretty good. That one's not too bad, but I've only got like 3 of those. I mean, some of these other ones are coming in, but I feel like it's going to be another month before they get to the point, probably at least another month before they get to the point where then they're at a point where they can start working on producing stuff. So, normally I buy them from Home Depot. So they're the point where once you plant them, like about a month after you plant them, then they're producing. Do you have to go to orientation at Walmart? Oh man, are you going to be a Walmart greeter, Wesley? Wesley's gonna be like, "Hi, welcome to Walmart." you should just greet people like emphatically in a most ridiculous way to like go along with the idea of how people think Walmart greeters act, because they're usually like slow people or something. Hi, my name's Wesley. Welcome to Walmart. You're working in electronics. You have to work at Home Depot to see me. Right. Well, I mean, that's a perfect fit for you, right, JJ? You know? Oh. Oh, God, that scared the holy shit out of me. The neighbors are putting in an AC up top of their room. I just all of a sudden heard like this, rah, rah, rah. Like, what the fuck is that? Watch that thing drop out the back. Oh, that would suck ass for them. That's why I would never do a permanent air conditioning, because then you have that ugly ass shit that sticks out of your house. You're suing Ace. The MF's never called back. Oh God, they must think that you're garbage then, Donovan. Oh man, they're like, nah, he's too much of a noob. That would be hilarious. Well, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. I saw it tilting out the other way. Look, you see a hand coming out. So I bet it probably gets hot as fuck up there, because that's like a third story. That's like a fucking attic at that point up there. So someone's room must be 3 stories up, and oh, I feel bad for that fucking person, because you know they got to be dying up in that bitch with no AC. Oh, because I'd die upstairs in my second story without any AC. So imagine being in a third story. 911. Baker is weeding. Bakey is weeding. I know, right? So hopefully all of you been okay. I got my hat on because the sun's out. I don't want to get my bald head scorched. Must be like living in a salt. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can put a fan up there, but that shit is not gonna help. That's why I feel like a lot of people prefer ranch houses. Not to be confused with ranch dressing, obviously, but like, ranches are basically just single story with a basement normally. When you have higher story houses, it's difficult. One, it's because of AC, right? As your electric bill can be very costly, because you're trying to air condition your entire house, but heat rises. Air doesn't, cold air doesn't necessarily rise the same way. So it takes a lot more energy to cool your house, or then you end up getting stuck doing what us other people have to do. Like Melinda has the same thing. Her bedroom's up in the second story. She's got an AC unit up in there. Mine's up in the second story. I got an AC unit up in there. Like, but normally the best way though is if you have a multi-story house. The best way to get the air circulating upstairs without an AC is you close your vents like in your basement, or at least you close them the majority of the way. You leave them open just a little bit so that you get air in the lower levels, but like it allows the rest of the air to travel upstairs. So you try to get as much cool air upstairs as you possibly can, because that's where it gets the hottest. So that's what I do. I mean, so like even without a window unit upstairs, like it's not terrible, but when it's really hot out, like today, like when it's like 80 or 85 out, oh yeah, you feel that shit. 70s is not too bad. When you're in the 80s, you can feel that shit for sure. Fax gets hot at night on the second floor. I gotta go commando style. Yeah, I feel you, man. Do you think central air is better than the actual one in the window? Well, it depends, right? I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you're talking about like for a multi-story unit, then yeah, central air is not gonna. I have central air. That's it's not. It doesn't help. It's now maybe if you have the but I don't think there's any house that exists like that. What is it? Forced air, the one where you have like the vents like all around the side of each room. Like if you had something like that, yes, but I don't think there's houses that exist like that. That's mainly like apartments and shit that have that kind of stuff. All right, well, so I need to actually do some weeding here, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. Yeah, I can use this as a prop somehow for this thing. Ugh. That is the hard part about trying to work and stream. So I have this battery pack attached to my phone right now. My phone's plugged into this battery thing. I got this when I bought my new phone. I'm so glad that I did, because it's actually come in pretty handy, and it's got you can plug in to the battery pack. It has actually a USB plug-in or a USB-C plug-in. So you can plug in whatever, pretty practically any device into this thing. You can charge it with this thing. It's so freaking awesome. Looks like Gucci. Where do you get that shirt? Do you see the shirt? Look, This is my Red Cross shirt. This is like I told Lauren, hey, look, I'm a bodyguard, or not a bodyguard. Hey, I'm a lifeguard. This is my lifeguard shirt. But I call it my Red Cross shirt because it reminds me of what the cross, basically. Damn you, a lifeguard. Yeah, but I can't swim. I can't swim for shit. So don't expect me to actually save anyone. I just have the shirt because because why not, right? Because why not? I should actually, you know what I should do? You know what? I have an idea. Before I do all this, I'm actually gonna put on some. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna close this gate. I'm actually gonna put on some suntan lotion, sunscreen. I should say, not suntan lotion, sunscreen, because even though, like, I want to be out here for a little bit trying to do this. God, I can't barely see my phone. It's so freaking like fingerprinty. Even I'm gonna be out here for a little bit, and even though I have this hat on, my neck is gonna get wrecked by the sun because it's supposed to be like mostly cloudy, but the sun's out pretty good right now, and it's hot as fudge. So how's everyone? How you guys been, man? How's everyone? How's everyone been? Hopefully everyone's enjoying some summer. Oh, did you guys ever see this? This is my new decorations in the kitchen. I bought these, I don't know, like weeks ago. Instead of having I had like a fall kind of design, and then up in the corner I used to have like this big gaudy monstrosity of a plant thing that my ex had. I had it up there, and then I also had it up there. But then I bought something smaller to put up there, so that at least there's some kind of decor, but not like something that's just like so in your face and just annoying. And they accumulated a lot of dust too. That was the other thing I hate about it, is it just accumulate a lot of dust. All right, hang on. Let me go get this stuff. Oh, here, I didn't throw this out. I wonder how good some of this stuff is. I know the stuff expires. This expired in 2019. So I might be kind of scared of some of this stuff after sun. Oh, two and one. Um, Copyright 2013. How old is that? It doesn't have an expiration date on here. So. Hmm. I thought all suntan lotion or sunblock should expire eventually, but this one doesn't have an expiration date, so that's kind of weird. I guess I might just be kind of scared. SPF 30. It doesn't say. Like, when does? Can someone Google this? Like, when does sunblock expire if there's no expiration date on it? I mean, I don't. It might do something, but I don't know that it will. Does anyone know? You have prom, you have a suit, and paid $20, but to be honest, I still might not even go because it seems kind of crazy. Well, I mean, dude, look. At the very least, just be nice to like actually see people again, right? This is hilarious. Limit time in the sun, especially from 10 to 2, wear long sleeve shirts, pants, hats, and sunglasses. Like, who the hell wants to wear a long sleeve shirt? Technically, I probably could wear a thin long sleeve shirt, but like, it's too freaking hot for that shit. But yeah, it doesn't say this stuff doesn't have like a normally at the bottom or something. It has like an expiration date. Oh, he is live. Does anyone know? It says copyright 2013, but it doesn't say. There's not a distribute by date. You went to the country part of Texas Fort Worth, and no one gives a fluff about masks. Well, yeah, because they're in the country. They're like Texas rednecks. They're probably all conspiracy theorists too. They all think coronavirus, COVID was a Democratic hoax or Democrat hoax. Does stuff like that expire? Yeah, it does. Sunblock does expire. I mean, most of them have an actual date. Like I have a different brand. It's like a sport brand or whatever. So it's meant for like protecting you even if you sweat. But that had an expiration date of 2019. But this one, like this stuff right here, banana boat. Is this like is this OBJ level sunblock? But like, when does this stuff expire? If it doesn't have an expiration date, does it actually expire? I would have to imagine it does. If other sunblock actually expires. What's up, Akeem? I saw you. How are you doing? There's got to be, right? I mean, it has a copyright date of 2013. So, I mean, you know it's old. But the question is, does it work? I mean, I guess I can spray some on and it's not going to kill me regardless, but still, it's just like I'd rather know that I'm spraying something on that's actually going to do something or protect me at least mildly from the sun. The 2019 stuff certainly is most likely not going to do anything at this point. But yeah, it's crazy because you see down here, it's got distribute by is blank, but it has a copyright date, 2013. So, Akima, you're a mom. You need to tell me, when does this stuff actually expire if there's no like expiration date? Like if you look at the bottom, no expiration date down here. I mean, at least nothing that makes any sense. I can't Google it. That's why I'm asking you guys because I can't exactly Google it while I'm live streaming. It's kind of difficult to do that because then it'll put my stream on hold and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to like open up my browser and shiznit. Can't tell when it's open or closed either. I keep just trying to look on the bottle to see if like maybe there might be something that says like this product is 3 years. Damn. Well, then Baker, show us your Google history. You're not gonna see anything there. Nothing except for like my recent Google search was about the puzzles and survival game that I play and how you upgrade troops. That was my recent Google search, okay? And that was just this morning. So so no, there's nothing interesting to be found there in my Google search history. Nothing interesting at all. I bought. That's what they all say. I bought CBD oil today. That should be delivered tomorrow because I've been having a lot of like. He goes in. Yeah, exactly, Akima. Who the hell goes? Who doesn't go incognito for the good stuff, right? um, no, but I went to the doctor because I had like this weird problem with my equilibrium, like being weird or whatever. I got blood work done on Tuesday. No, it was Wednesday. I got blood work done Wednesday morning. They had the results like by the end of day Wednesday. All the blood work pretty much shows normal. There were like two things that showed in red. But the reason for them showing in red, one of them I think I know why. One had to do with sugar, but it was like the normal range was like between something and 99 and mine was 100. And the last thing I drank the night before I went to go get my blood work done was like a tall Angry Orchard. So I'm thinking that like, that sugar was still in my system for that period of time. And so that's what caused my sugar level to be that high. But it was only like one over. So I'm like, it's not like I'm a freaking diabetic or some shit like that, right? I mean, yes, I do need to watch sugar intake, and I'm very conscientious about my sugar intake within reason. Um, and then there was a thing for you always hear people talk about cholesterol when you get older. So like my cholesterol level was the for to be in the very low range was like between something and like 40, and for my age it was between something and 40, and I was at like a 38.3 or something, and it for some reason was red, and I'm like, well, why is this red? Because this is like in the very low range for my age, so I'm not really sure. So without like going back to the doctor and asking them, just to like say, hey, like what do you think about that? It seems like I should be fine. So I'm not really sure. Because again, like I don't eat like shit food. I always eat like healthy stuff. I always, you guys know, like I always take care of like what I eat. Sometimes yeah, I eat crappy every once in a while, but it's not like I eat French fries and fried food and all that shit all the time. It's just once a week I eat beat up, so I know that shit's fried. But beyond that, like, why I eat Bob Evans once a week as well. So, but that's steak. Yeah, their stuff probably has a shit ton of obviously salt in there and stuff, but like aside from the 2 times a week I go out, every other time. Last night we had a stir fry with zucchini, summer squash, and mushrooms with chicken and teriyaki shrimp. Like that was our dinner last night. So it's like, I for the most part, like I generally mostly eat healthy, right? I'm not gonna say generally because generally is like a step down. Like mostly I eat healthy. I don't like just eat a bunch of crap. Yeah, I don't go out fast food and all that stuff. Like I can't do that because now I did gain some weight. I gained a little, but actually I did gain quite a bit of weight compared to where I was last year. But I think it's because I'm actually eating and then like with a girlfriend who likes to cook and stuff like that and will like make me stuff like then I'm eating more. I'm eating more. Like, cause I honestly, like, I barely ever eat pasta, but within the last like couple months that I've known her, she's like she came from a family where, when she was married, she came from a family where the guy's family was Italian and stuff. So they made a lot of pasta dishes and stuff. And so she's big on like pasta and crap. And like, I never make pasta for myself. And I rarely ever eat anything that contains noodles or anything like because that's all starchy kind of stuff, right? So I usually never eat that, and I've eaten more of that within the last 2 months than I've eaten that in like years. Like it's so I mean that may not necessarily be helping me either because like she made me manicotti, she made me stuffed shells. We've done like rotini noodles and like with like cheese and rotini noodles with alfredo, a chicken alfredo, and just shrimp alfredo. Like I've done all these different pastas, had all these different pasta dishes recently, and it's just like I would never eat anything like that myself. Like I just would never make that for myself because one, it takes too much time to boil noodles. But now that and plus actually I was really bad at like dealing with noodles in the past. Now I learned how to do it right, not from her, just from reading the box. I learned how to do noodles right, and so like my noodles they don't come out too soft or very chewy or anything like that. Like I do true al dente style like noodles and stuff. Like I'm figuring shit out. Like I'm learning how to cook better just by like reading. Baker's the type of person that burn noodles. Nah, man. No, you put it on high. So the mistake I used to always make. So here's okay, so for anyone who needs a noodle boiling tip, the mistake I used to make before when boiling noodles is that I always felt like, well, they need to cook a while they need to cook a while after they're boiling. And so I would bring the water to a boil, but then I'm like, there's no way they could really mean that you leave this in here in boiling water, continue to boil the water for that period of time. But no, that's like actually what they mean on the box is once you bring the water to a boil and it's boiling at high, you leave it on high and you put the noodles in there and you let it continue to boil on high for 10 minutes or however long the box says. I think 10 minutes is for true al dente style noodles. And then like, if the water starts to boil over you turn it down a little bit, but for the most part, stop it. Whatever. No, come on, JJ. That's BS. Look, I cook some good stuff, man. Even Lauren, she's just like, damn, she's like, you're not a cook, you know how to make good food. She always likes everything I cook for her. I mean, I like it too. I mean, so when during Memorial Day weekend, my mom and my brother came over. They met her for the first time, and I made ribs that day. Oh man, I baked those ribs in the oven for 2 hours at like 325 or something like that, or 350. It was something along those lines for 2 hours. Baked them suckers in the oven. They were St. Louis style ribs. Then like for the last 20 minutes, I took them out, put barbecue sauce on them, and you bake them for another like 10 or 15 minutes at 450 degrees. Those things came off the bone like they were so like just juicy. They weren't dried out, they weren't burnt. It was just like they were perfect ribs, and everyone at the table was just like, "Dude, these things are fucking awesome! Like, they're really good." And one guy who came over, one of my mom's friends, like he he never eats, and everyone was like, "Dude, he keeps going back for more." Like he kept going back to get more ribs. I mean, they were good. So some good ass ribs. Okay, what am I doing here? So like, I guess I'm kind of screwed then. I thought I had sunscreen, but I don't have. I have no protection. I have no protection, guys. I'm not wearing protection. This is unprotected weeding. I always like to try to safe weeding when I can, but because the only other thing I have is I have burn relief spray. That doesn't exactly. I mean, that might help me if I get burned, but I'm not really trying to get burned. So I don't have any. I don't have any actual sun block that isn't expired. So, because I remember I threw one time one year Preston was here because we were finding some for Cedar Point. Well, actually, that was not last year, but not last year, but yeah, it was 20. It would have been 2019. So when we went to Cedar Point in 2019, we took some of those with us and wore that stuff because that was actually it was still valid and useful at that point. But now it's just like now it's all expired, so I need to go buy more. But I'm not. Oh shit! This thing's only got one. This battery only got one bar left, so I'm gonna unplug that. Plus, it wasn't really charging anything, anyways. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna have to do some unprotected gardening. Of course, just as the sun in Ohio, where it gets cloudy enough, usually when I need the clouds to be out to block the sun. Oh, it looks like the clouds are going to come across in a minute here. But when I need the clouds to be out to block the sun, they do not want to block it. So it's nice and sunny outside, and it's almost noon, so that means the sun's at its hottest just about. And it's right over the top of me, so obviously because being noon and all, it's right over the top of me, right on my garden, right where I need to be to weed. If you get skin cancer, you get skin cancer. God. I mean, I try to avoid that, Donovan. It's just like making healthy food choices. Like you kind of have to. There's some logic involved in that, just a little. But for doing stuff like this, I always put on I wear shit clothes and stuff. I told Lauren, I said, yeah, I'll be out here for a little while today, probably just getting some more work done in the with weeding. But I'm gonna have to pace myself. There's just so many weeds in this garden, so I think I'm gonna go from this to the I'll do the watermelon next, and then I may actually just move over to the corn because where the zucchini's at, there's not too many weeds, so I'm not overly concerned about the zucchini just yet. But the zucchini will probably be the last to be tackled. So today, so it's a lot to do for today. But today, in theory, my goal should be to try to get some of these seeds. Didn't even there's a pumpkin seed right there that didn't do anything. So we've got a dud. It got uncovered when I pulled out some weeds next to the plant that actually is growing. So yeah, so it looks like we had a dud seed over here, which explains why this one's not as big. That's what she said. Is there seriously, what is this? Is that, oh, I wonder if that's a watermelon thing, or pumpkin thing growing next to it. I can't really tell because it's too small right now. That's actually the other reason why I waited a little long to start doing any weeding, was because I needed the plants to come up so you can actually distinguish between the plants, you know. Otherwise, it's really hard to tell like what's an actual, versus what's an actual plant versus what's not. Damn it! I wish I hadn't lost my other. I lost my other kickstand on this phone. I need to get another one, or not, or actually find it, because I'm pretty sure I know. Like, I remember seeing it, and I swear I was like, oh, this is like my kickstand, or I was like, I don't know what this goes to, and then I put it somewhere, and then realized later that my kickstand on my phone is gone, and I'm just like, shit. I'm like, I put that somewhere. I swear I found it and put it somewhere. Now I don't know where I put it. So, because it's like my phone has two kickstands. It has a short one and a long one, and the long one makes it stand up or sit up a little bit different angle than the short one does. And of course, I only have the short one right now, so it's kind of whatever. But yeah, I saw. So I heard a rumor before that there's like some kind of good luck charm if you see like a cardinal and a blue jay like in the same day or something, or at the same time. What about? I have that. I do have that stand inside that I could possibly use as well, because it is a tripod. It's pretty neat. It's the one I bought. I bought it for Live Me, but it also came in handy for doing YouTube stuff in the past as well. Maybe I should get that. I think it's in my living room. Then I have to go in there and I have to take off my shoes to go in there, because my semi new carpet. Like I don't like to get my carpet all jacked. Oh, there's Melinda's dogs barking. They hear me and they're like, "Oh God, it's Dad! It's Dad!" So Lauren's met Melinda like multiple times, so they've established a relationship. So that's nice. They don't hate each other, so that's good as well. There's no jealousy or whatever. So I need whatever person I'm with, like they can't be jealous of her for whatever reason that they would be jealous. You haven't been on Live Me forever, neither have I. So I wouldn't know. I mean, presumably yes, because I think Marchie was even saying. I think when I told you guys the last time when I talked to Marchie on Instagram, was it Instagram? Yeah, it was Instagram, I believe. She said that like she said it's hard to compete with all the chicks showing the skin all the time. So like that's not a place for wholesome girls like her. Although like honestly, Marchie's a fucking freak, man. Like even though I know she said she's like one of the guys, she kind of reminds me of Melinda, just in that regard. But like, Marchie's gotta be a fucking freak. Like just look at her, and I don't mean that like in a bad way. Like you just know. So there's no more Melinda versus Lauren custody of Baker ladder match. Yeah, it would be a garden match if we were to have something like that go down. Here's the tripod. Yeah, this thing's pretty neat. I'm so glad I bought this. And actually, because I remember someone else on Live Me at the time, Queen. I can't remember her name. Preston knows her real name. I knew her real name at some point too, but I guess it doesn't matter, and I don't care. But she was like Queen something, and that faction we were in, or whatever the hell they called them, Kingdom. She was like, "Oh, I've been looking for a tripod or whatever." When I bought this and I started using it, I recommended it to her, and she ended up buying the same one and said that she's like, "Yeah, it was really neat." She really liked it. So look at that. I gave a recommendation to someone who had been doing Live Me longer than I had been on hardware to use for streaming. All right, so now let's get this Excuse me for a second here. Let me get this adjusted. There we go. I don't want to accidentally hit the power button on the phone, because then it'll cause all sorts of mental. Okay, there we go. So now I can take this outside and be a lot better, be more hands-free. No, Peyton, you're not going anywhere. So I do know I do need to cut out, like, wonder how much Marcy charges an hour. Dude, don't say it like that. That's not a, I don't know. I don't think she's like that. She's not like a whore. Like, I just think that she'd be like the kind of girl that's just like, I'm not trying to be locked down, but I also got to get my freak on every once in a while. So, like, you know, I know she says she goes out to the clubs with her friends and stuff like that. So, she's got to be getting, she's got to be getting hers too. So I don't think she's a slut or anything like that. It's just, some people, there's not, I don't think, honestly, the more I think about it, it's not really a problem with that. Like when you're not tied down to one specific person, then like it kind of gives you some flexibility. And like, if you want to try different things, it gives you some options. When you're locked down with someone, like, when you're committed to someone in particular, then obviously your options are pretty limited, right? Your options are limited to that person, and that's it. And so, if you don't have diversity, if you don't have the kind of diversity you wish to have with that particular person, then you're kind of screwed. Unless you give them the boot, so to speak, and try something else. But that's kind of that's the only dilemma that you end up with when you're a one-woman man or a one-man woman. That just sounds so weird. I had to think about that for a second. Like, wait, am I saying that right? Like, yeah, it is. I mean, a one-man kind of woman or a one-woman kind of man. Like, that's I remember Chris Rock used to do, he did a skit based on that, and it's so true the more you think about it. He's like, you can be married and bored or single and lonely. He's like, there's no happiness anywhere, because like you can't really have both. You're not gonna have, like, you can't be single and have the benefits of someone who's like married or in a committed relationship. But then on the other hand, like when you're in a committed relationship, you don't necessarily have the same flexibility you have when you're single. So I mean, it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And that is like it is so true. That's why I appreciate comedians, because comedians, in a way, like they tell the most truth of anyone, when it comes to like politics or just life in general. Like comedians just, they got it all figured out. Everyone kind of laugh. They're designed to tell things in a way to make people laugh, but like they're speaking facts. They speak the most truth of just about anyone on this earth. And there's butterflies in my garden now, so that's kind of neat. I don't know if you saw one fly by here, but I felt like one flew by here. But yeah, there's a couple of butterflies. One's on my broccoli right now. Yeah, Chris Rock, when he said, "Ain't no happiness anywhere." Married or bored or single and lonely. Like, although I feel like the reason why he did those skits, because I think later on, after, like, it was well after he did that skit, but like after he had done that skit, later on in life, he was married and he ended up getting a divorce and he had a kid. So, I mean, at least from what I remember hearing, I'm pretty sure he had a divorce, and it's just like, so he probably had, Marcy sent you some feet pics? Stop lying, JJ. You are such a liar. Marcy would not send you feet pics. And if she did, forward them my way, because you know about me and feet. You know about me and feet, man. Lauren seems to think that I have a foot fetish, but I don't have a foot fetish. Like, a fetish is like, I don't know, like if you can't get enough of like feet, but it's not like every time I'm thinking about women, I'm thinking about like, ooh, what do their feet look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, and if she sent you feet pics, they're probably like H2's feet or something like that. You do have a foot fetish? I do not have a foot fetish. You need to stop it. They're getting their AC propped up in there. I'm just so waiting for that bitch to drop out the fucking window. I would just laugh my ass off, but I would actually feel bad for them though because they have a roofed kind of outset. I don't know what that is. I don't think it's a room. It looks like more like a sun's. It looks more like a sun area, but like it's brick. So I'm not sure who made that decision. I mean, obviously it was an add-on to the house after the fact, but I don't know why. But I guess it's just as dumb as like the add-on to my house being like a wooden, like a basically a wood siding thing. Like they didn't use brick to match the rest of the house, which I feel like that's kind of dumb. Because you know the way you treat it is different than how you would treat brick. You know, wood and brick, obviously you have to manage them separately. With like wood, you have to repaint or, you know, look for rotting wood and all that kind of stuff. Whereas with brick, you know, you're worried more about like foundation shifts and cracks in your brick and trying to patch that shit up so you don't get critters in your house and all that crazy stuff. So it's just like owning a house or maintaining a house is a real pain in the ass sometimes. I feel like I'm gonna get my roof replaced. I need to call the people back that gave me the quote for it. I mean, it's not cheap, but it could be more expensive. You know, whenever you hear roof replacement, people think like $30,000 to replace a roof. It's not that much for what I need to have done, but it's, you know, it's not like $1,000 either though. You know, it's somewhere in between there. Somewhere in between there. I think I'm gonna have to water this stuff today because it's not. Some of the stuff's not looking too great. So I've been relying on the rain because it's been raining here just about every day, but it's been kind of like off and on, and you know, it hasn't rained like a lot, but it's rained enough to kind of keep things growing. And all of a sudden, one day after, like, I came out here the other day, and I was like, dude, where did all these weeds come from? Like, originally they were just like little blades of grass, and the next thing I know, they're like taking over the whole freaking garden. It was like, what in the hell just happened? But it was just because that little bit of rain was enough to propel these things to just spring up, man. Plus, yeah, actually, the other reason why you wait to weed as well, you know, aside from just being able to determine if they are the thing you planted or not, is because if they're too small, it's very difficult to pick them out. Like, because you want to pull out the weed with the roots and not just the top part. There was an alligator 3,000 row. I put a tarp on my house. Oh God, he has a toe fetish. There's an alligator where I was swimming in Texas. That gator was scared of you. Whatever, dude. Whatever. That gator was scared of you. I don't buy it, JJ. I don't believe it. Did you flex? Did you flex on him, JJ? Did you show him who was boss? You, like, put him to sleep? Isn't there something where you can put alligators to sleep by catching them and then clamping their mouth and then rubbing their belly or something like that? Is that like an actual thing? Does anyone know anything about alligators? I swear I seen that like in a cartoon once or something. I think it was like a Popeye cartoon or something. Someone just like rubbed his belly and put him to sleep. I don't know if it's like an actual thing or not. But sometimes, you know, they do that stuff based on based on facts. So you never know. You never know. Maybe Popeye was just a genius, and no one knows his style for how to put alligators to sleep, how to make them respect you by rubbing their belly. I was gonna put that alligator to sleep like Khabib. Krager, shut up. You're dumb. Khabib. A Khabib kebab. You needed to use a more recent reference. You should have been like, I was gonna put that alligator to sleep like Mayweather and Jake Paul put the crowd to sleep for that boxing match. that they had, the snooze fest. that would have been a little bit more pop culture, JJ. Logan Paul, I said. Logan Paul. Okay, Logan Paul. Whatever Paul that it is. Jake, Logan. They're both retarded. So, and they're both from Ohio, right? So, I'm ashamed to be. Every time I hear anything about them, I'm ashamed to be an Ohioan or to associate with them. Because I remember someone even asked me about it. I'm like, dude. I think it was Lauren asked me about like the guy. And I was like, yeah, they're from Ohio. The dude's from Ohio, and I'm like, and when people ask me about him on stream, I'm just like. Like, nope, don't know them, don't affiliate with them, don't support them. Because I was telling her about how the one guy did the stream in the jungle where the Chinese people or whatever were like they kill the suicide jungle, and how they, YouTube just gave him a slap on the wrist. It's like, don't do that again. And it's just like, but if I had done something like that, my account would have been fucking insta banned. So I'm like, that's why YouTube is a bunch of horse shit, because if you make the money, they don't really care. You can get away with whatever offense. It's like PewDiePie, like having like racist shit and all that stuff, and they're just like, oh, please don't do that, sir. It's because he owns them instead of them. Like, it's like they need to. If you're gonna have rules, then you need to be consistent with your rules, not consistent based on the status of the broadcaster on your platform. But then they know, like, if it weren't for people like him, then, like, they wouldn't get as much attention as they get sometime on their platform. So it's just like, sometimes bad PC isn't, all PC is like, any type of news is always good news in a sense, even if it's bad news, right? Because if something bad happens and people are like, oh god, this streamer did this, like, can you believe that? As soon as someone finds out about that, what do? They want to go see it. So then it draws attention to the platform, and then next thing you know, everyone's looking for these videos. Man showed a dead body as Logan Paul went good in the Morning America show, talked to Michael Strahan when that first happened. What'd he say? Oh, he's like, I'm sorry, I'm such a freaking idiot. He's like, I can't believe how stupid of a decision that was by me to do that, and why I thought that was cool. But see, that's the thing, is that, he'll go on, he would have went on Good Morning America, and of course they're going to say, oh, he's a YouTube star or something like that. So then immediately people are like, oh god, if he posts controversial stuff like this, then I need to go subscribe to him and check him out. And that's the reason why YouTube wouldn't do anything about it, because it's just like, that's what I'm saying, like any type of media buzz, good or bad, is almost always good in a way. God, I hate weeding so much. I guess this is the negative aspect of having such a big. She didn't pick the weeds that are closest to some of these cucumber plants. What the hell's wrong with this woman? What the hell is wrong with you, lady? God, this is gonna take fucking forever. This is gonna take forever. At least the clouds just went over the sun, so that is great. But yeah, these guys are trying to still put in their AC, so see how this goes. We shall see how this goes for them. I need to, like, not squat on my feet and instead sit on my knees. Yes, I know. Haha, he said get on his knees. But when you're gardening, like, you don't want to put all that pressure on your feet, because then your feet just end up hurting. So you're better off just letting your body weight rest on your knees, because those are pretty strong, and you're sitting on dirt, so it's not like, it's one thing if you're squatting down on like concrete or some shit like that, but when you're just on dirt, it's not too bad, especially when the dirt is soft. Where's Lauren? Should she be helping? She's at work, man. She wanted to. She was talking about taking off work so she could help, but that was more because of some stuff that happened at work for her the other day, and I was like, no, don't do that. Like, so she's like, yeah, I'm gonna try to tough it out and just go. And then she's got some girls' night thing tonight, so I won't be seeing her tonight. But we're supposed to be getting together tomorrow, so we shall see. But I ordered my CBD oil today, so I should be getting that tomorrow. Oh yeah, I started talking about the whole doctor stuff, and then I kind of just like, I think I just randomly stopped. So, so I had all my blood work tests done and stuff like that. I told the doctor that, when I wake up, all I know is that when I wake up in the morning, like, it doesn't matter how much sleep I feel like I got. When I wake up, I feel tired. I feel physically exhausted. Like, I could just keep sleeping. It doesn't matter. I can sleep for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours. I could wake up, go back to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like a cumulative level of sleep. And I feel drained. Like, I'm not really like thinking about anything, having nightmares. Like, I know I toss and turn a little bit at night sometimes, but not all the time. And even when I feel like I get a good sleep, I still wake up and I feel tired. Sleep is the greatest invention ever. Like, so I don't know what's going on. And he was just like, well, he's like, you may have like insomnia, but like insomnia is like, you can't sleep. Which insomnia kind of is more like, in my opinion, is more like you're wide awake or you can't fall asleep, as opposed to just like, well, you're having trouble sleeping, or like you sleep but then you don't feel rested. Like, to me, that seems more like, anxiety or depression. That's usually what happens in those situations, is because, maybe passively your mind is thinking about stuff, and so like you've got stress, but you don't really, passively meaning that you don't feel like you're actively thinking about it, but like it's still on your mind. Just like when I was going through my divorce stuff, when I was having issues with my body back then, it was because I was passively thinking about, well, it was actually when I first got separated. Like, I was passively thinking about being separated, but I was never actively thinking about it. Like, times I would, but not like all the time. But I had so many issues with my body back then, where like I felt like I couldn't walk and all that shit, like, or I would pass out, and that shit was just crazy. And it's not like I don't have anything to that level right now, but the sleeping thing sucks, because when you don't get enough sleep, then you're fucking, I'm like, how did a person make the internet? It wouldn't have been just one person. I mean, one person would have had the idea, right? But then it would take a lot more to do that. The interwebs. Basically, someone who's familiar enough with software and networking. I mean, because when you think about it, the internet is just one big network. I mean, that's essentially all it is. The internet is just one big network, and the way that you find, like, like domain names are tied to IP addresses, which you need an IP address to be on a network. So, networking obviously played a critical part in facilitating the internet. Like, there's no way you'd have the internet without some type of network, the concept of a network. So, and the domain, like I said, domain names are attached to IP addresses, and you have an IP address, and then there's DNS, which is domain name services, and DNS is what allows like a name to resolve to an IP address. And there's all sorts of crazy stuff in networking. I mean, I've learned a lot more about networking over the past couple of years because of the nature of the system I support, and it's so much more like difficult than the one I used to support, but like I've learned a lot because of it, especially networking related. Like, you have load balancers, and well, you have DMZs, and like, just like it gets crazy. You have firewalls for blocking like traffic you don't want on your network, and so you can block people, like, or block like DDoS attacks, or IPs for known DDoS attacks, or IPs from specific countries. I mean, it's just like crazy the amount of stuff that you can do with networking alone. networking and networking software. That is, to be specific. So it's the network. You know, again, it's like if you ever wanted to do IT, like networking is definitely the place to be because that shit will never go away. It's what powers everything. You know, even on for applications within a network, you still have a network, you still have firewalls, you still have load balancers, you still have VIPs, you still have DMZs, like you have IP addresses, domain names, like certificates, like it's freaking crazy. It's definitely a fascinating world, I would say. Like again, if you were ever looking to get in IT, networking is, you'll never have a shortage of network personnel needs. So now I'm trying to decide if I want to do this watermelon or if I just want to move over to the corn. I really need to do the tomatoes, actually, because I want to buy new tomatoes from Home Depot. Actually, I probably should just do the tomatoes next because they're actually pretty rough looking, and you hate it when on the internet and made it that scary sound when it booted up. I hate IP addresses. Stupid. Why? Because you don't like the P? Get it? IP. Yeah. Well, yeah. You're talking about that's dial-up when you had modems. But yeah, we've certainly come a long way since then. Shit, you know, I was on a 14.4 modem. Actually, I remember when 56K modems came out and was like, oh, this is great, man. Like 56K, bro. It's like triple a 14.4. Like shit was crazy. I'm trying to set this on an actual tomato plant, but it's kind of hard. Oh, wait, did someone just step on that tomato? Was this a tomato plant that someone just stepped on? No, that's a weed. Looks like a weed. Oh, I see where the tomato plant should be. That's what I'm saying. Like some of these are just so small or non-existent, and like some point I forgot to put my little litter box thing in front of my garden, and then like the deer broke in, and the deer, like the gate blew open, and then the deer came in. Bigger you stepping on. No. No, I think I thought I did, but I did not. So now I need to look for where I think these tomato plants actually are. This might be some. They look like, God, it's so hard to tell. So I can see that should have been some here, but it looks like it's gone. But I can't tell because it's not grown enough now. Because some of these, like I said, so the deer got in and then they ate some of the plants. Fucking deer, man. Like I love them, but then I hate, like, don't fuck with my garden. And this is the reason why I have a fence around my garden, is because these fuckers would be eating all this shit. They just eat off the tops because it's green. Mentally challenged deer. Damn it. So I did them in rows. I did everything in rows, so I should be able to, like, you know, so the idea is, you know, similar to like, so you have like this one here. I'm not sure if you can even see it, but I'm pretty sure you can. So like I have this one here. So, and then like I would expect to see a straight row. I see one growing here, but this is kind of branched off from to the side because it's actually the roots there. So, and I see here where it's really wet. Looks like this is where one was planted, I think. And there's another one here. I think that's where they were planted. I see one here, but I would expect this to be lined up with that other one. So obviously we were a little crooked around here at some point, but like they should be pretty close. But I feel like this is certainly a tomato plant, but then I feel like this might be one, but I'm not 100% certain if it is. Because one, it's so small. Two, the leaves kind of look similar, but like these ones are being eaten. They don't look as pointy, but they kind of look like these. So I think for the ones that aren't like fully developed, I think I may just pull them all out. And then this is where I have to plant the bigger tomato plants and just call it a day, so to speak. I should have stuck little sticks in by some of these or something. I don't know, like. Because I don't think we planted some this close to the edge. I think we kept like a foot. I tried to keep a foot in between each tomato plant. Ugh. So hard to tell. I think that's maybe why I just pull them up. No, those aren't tomato plants, because these are, I see these things are like kind of sprinkled all over the place. Those are definitely not, well, I don't think we would have planted this close to the edge though. No, they can't be, because I kind of see them all over the place. I don't know. Now I'm disappointed. Now I'm really disappointed. So first, I guess I'll just work on weeding around the plants that are actually grown. Oh yeah, see this thing's vined out. It's like, bro, I can't get any fucking water over here. These weeds are in my way. So I'm just gonna kind of like vine out over here. You guys hear those birds? Oh shit, I stopped talking about the whole health thing again too. I just realized it. Why am I so scattered-brained right now? But I was just talking about the sleep. So like I guess I don't know like what the problem is other than maybe anxiety. The doctor gave me a pamphlet for insomnia, and that like they may ask you to exercise daily, and they may tell you to exercise if you do exercise in the morning instead of at night, and that's usually when I like to exercise is in the morning, so that way it's not like after work you're like, oh, now I gotta go to, people say, oh, I gotta go to the gym after work and all that shit. Like, fuck all that. Like, just go before work. You get your exercise in the morning. It's supposed to get your endorphins up and all that shit, and help in theory mentally stimulate you for work. So that's part of the reason why I like the idea of doing it in the morning, and plus then it's just out of the way. You get it out of the way for the day, and you're not having to worry about doing that shit after work. Like, that's just it's too much. I hate that. So they're saying, exercise in the morning, Lauren exercises after work and shit. And I get it, because sometimes she has to be at work at like 6. So you can't really. It's kind of hard to go to the gym, before work at 6 a.m. But I would just hate exercising after work. So they would say, okay, exercise in the morning instead of at night, whatever. Okay, that's not a problem. But the problem I have is I can't get motivated enough to even do it right now. That's part of my problem too. I can't even get motivated enough to want to do it. And every time I do exercise, and it's just like, ugh, like it is so rough. It is so rough for some reason. And then of course the clouds went away. They moved away from the sun, so now the sun's beating on me now. Donovan, if you're still there, do you play that? Did you stop playing that puzzles and survival game at all yet? If I would have known this, they had a thing where like if you invited people to play, if you invited friends to play with a referral link, every day that you play, like I could have been getting rewards and stuff like that for myself. And I'm just like, damn it, I wish I would have known that, because for anyone who would have signed up, one, you get like a sign up reward, and then you get like, you know, daily rewards for every day they play. And if they meet certain objectives, then you get rewards for that too. Like, it's just crazy the amount of rewards they get you for referring people. So that's something I need to think about doing, because I really like that game. I really like that game for some reason. I don't know why. I felt like one day I was just like, I'm gonna quit this game because it's just too much. It's too involved. But then I keep finding out new stuff about it. Like today, I remember seeing something that said you can enhance your troops or level them up, and I'm like thinking like. So then today I was finally like, you know what? How the hell do you do that? Because there was never anything in the game where they really like explained that to you. Well, here, like, you go to your training, where you train your soldiers, and then like when you click on the older tier soldiers, they actually just give you an option in there to upgrade them. I'm like, how the hell did I not think of that? So like all the lower level soldiers you train like early on in the game, you can actually upgrade them to your current level soldiers. Of course, it costs you some in-game, you know, like resources and stuff, but still, like, you know, your higher level soldiers have more might and HP and all that kind of stuff for battles and shit. So like, it's definitely worth it. I just didn't realize how to do it. So there's that. I think everyone left me, man. If everyone left me, then I'm just gonna I just need to get my headphones and listen to some music instead, because that's normally what I do when I garden. Gardening. Actually, the one thing about gardening, Lauren found it out yesterday, was, you know, she had a rough day at work, and I'm like, look, how about you do some? I said, how about you do some weeding with me? And she's like, I don't really feel like weeding. And I'm like, I'm telling you that, like, I'm not, like, aside from the fact that it would help me a lot if you just help me do some weeding. You know, I said gardening and like weeding, surprisingly. Do you need to replace the dirt before gardening? What do you mean by replace the dirt? Why would what do you mean replace the dirt? You don't replace dirt. Well, any city dirt worked fine. Well, no. So like, first off, before gardening, like, you can use any dirt, but I wouldn't suggest just planting in just regular dirt unless you know it's like rich in nutrients. How you figure that out, I have no idea. I don't go to that level. Basically, what I do when I garden every season, I do it the same way. This year I did a little bit differently. I expanded my garden this year. I bought a bigger tiller. So one, you need to make sure the dirt is fine. So that's why they have tillers and cultivators. You need to, like, or, you know, you need to use something to refine the dirt, so some stuff can actually grow through it. You know, your garden can't grow in like clay or like hard packed dirt. So you need to make sure it's tilled at least to some level of degree of fineness. And then I just add, I go to Home Depot and I buy a bag of Miracle Grow topsoil or garden soil, and then I buy a bag of it's called like black cow manure, and I take that stuff and I spread that out over my garden. I till that into the other dirt, because that dirt, the stuff you buy, has nutrients to let your garden grow. That's the key in order to get stuff that actually grows. You could probably just throw it in regular soil in your ground, but like, I wouldn't recommend doing that, especially for the first time. But like, once you have that soil in there that you bought, like, your soil starts to refine itself and become better for growing year over year. So if you do it the first year, you don't get great results. You may want to try, you know, maybe if you don't add some of those other types of dirt, like manure. Like I said, manure is great for helping stuff grow. Manure has a lot of nutrients in it, and so does that topsoil or garden soil. And they tell you on the bag, was it fast growing vegetable or fruit? Honestly, I would say like zucchini grows pretty fast-ish. I mean, it just kind of it depends. Like, because lettuce grows reasonably fast. I think carrots grow reasonably fast. Tomatoes take a long time. Pumpkins take a long time. Like it depends on the, it just depends on what you're buying. If you're buying from seeds or if you're buying from like something that's been planted and you're just gonna sow it into your garden. Sowing meaning SOW, not SEW, as in like needle and thread sowing. It's sowing is basically taking the a plant that's been grown and then like basically putting it in dirt in a bigger area in your in your garden, for example, so that it has more room to grow and stuff. Taking it from a pot and transplanting it somewhere else. They call it sowing, SOW. um but yeah, it all depends. Like seeds obviously take longer, but then every seed's different. Some, because some plants, because like some corn, for example, I got corn that's growing. Like some corn takes 120 days to come up, but the corn I got this time is like it's supposed to be like 90 or something. So it just depends on the seed too. Like, they have like these. I want to say they're more like I call them mutant seeds because some of these like have accelerated growing times, and I'm not sure how exactly they make that happen, but I feel like they're genetically like engineering a seed, more or less, um, to produce, a fast-paced growth result. But yeah, so it kind of depends on that. Like right now, my tomatoes, these things, this is the first year I did tomatoes. I'm doing tomatoes grown from seed, and so I grew them in styrofoam cups back in like April, and then by the time June came around, or actually late May came around, these things were definitely smaller, but like they've grown a little bit. But like if I went and bought those, if I went to Home Depot, I could buy the plants that essentially they're like stalks and they're thick, and they're basically you just sow them, and within a month, then you start getting vegetables off of them because they've been growing those things for like months. Um, so I'm probably gonna end up adding some of those to my garden because I think these tomatoes are gonna take way too long. These tomato plants are gonna take way too long to start coming up. So that's my story right now. And then you can see actually over there, the first row right here, that's broccoli in this first row, and then everything else back there, that's all zucchini. So you can tell there's a lot of leaves on this stuff already. And this, I planted this stuff probably like I think it's been 3 weeks now. So, and zucchini, I think is supposed to take like, I want to say like 75 days or something. I don't know, maybe less than that. I can't remember. But like, each seed is different in terms of when you're expected. All I know is that within 1 week you're expected to see flowers, or you're expected to see green. You're expected to see something bud as a result of you planting. Within a week, within the first week of planting stuff, you should see something come up to just know that yeah, it's doing something. If you don't see anything, then chances are it's probably not going to grow, or it may just be taking longer. Like my watermelon, those have started to come up, but like those have been in there for 3 weeks before I started seeing anything. So it's whatever reason those took longer to germinate, if you will. I believe that's the process of the seed actually like getting enough nutrients and finally like budding and all that stuff. Should you remove all those weeds? Well, first off, when I first planted, all the weeds weren't there. This is what happened after it rained a little bit. So like what happened is, so I planted everything. There were some weeds that were growing up, but because everything hadn't started to blossom enough, I couldn't. It was hard to tell the difference between what was a weed versus what is the actual plant. Because usually weeds, they tend to look similar to the plant that they're planted around. So I needed to wait for the plants to grow a little bit more so that I could tell the difference between what was the actual plant versus what was the weed. What are weeds? And so now that the weeds are tall enough, one, they're easier to remove because now I can remove them by the roots, as opposed to like if they're really small, it's hard to like pull those things out. It's just a time-consuming process. So with them being bigger, it just helps making just going around and pulling them out a lot easier. Well, easier to identify, easier to pull out, and you can distinguish easier between the weeds and your plants that way as well. So that's why I'm going through now and starting to pull all this stuff out, is because now I have I have enough to be able to do that. Are you a farmer or city guy? I am a city guy. Like that's, I've had a garden since like 2012, I think, or something. So I've been doing this for years. So I have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing. I've managed to grow. I've had things fail. I've had things succeed. Last year I grew a boatload of frickin' zucchini. I had a lot of zucchini last year. I had a lot of tomatoes last year, but I only did zucchini and tomatoes. This year I'm doing a lot more. I have a lot more variety in my garden because I want to see if I can get carrots and lettuce, broccoli, cucumbers, pumpkins, and watermelon to grow successfully with this garden. If I can't, then I might just end up revert back to next season. I will just end up doing all zucchini or majority zucchini and just grow the things that your garden can grow successfully. So that is the one unfortunate thing about doing stuff like this is that you pretty much have to wait a whole season to know what you want to do next season. It's kind of hard to change mid-season because you can't exactly plant things 90 days in, especially when you're living in Ohio where like this one it gets really hot towards the end of the year, like the end of the summer when it's the right time to be growing the vegetables, so it'll just burn all your stuff up. And then two, obviously it takes things 60, 90 days to grow, and so by the time you plant something midway through, it's not going to have enough time in the season to be able to grow successfully anyway. So you pretty much have to wait till the next season to decide what you want to plant, next season. So we'll see. We'll see after how things grow. How things grow this year will dictate what I decide to do next season as far as plants are concerned. But I know for a fact now that I may need to find a way to get my tomatoes growing earlier next season if I want to sow them from seeds as opposed to just buying them all from Home Depot, or I may just buy them all from Home Depot next year because then I can actually start producing tomatoes a lot sooner. But dude, I have do you use astronomy guide when you plant and pick the crops? No, I mean you basically no. Planting is dependent on planting, generally speaking, is somewhat dependent on like the farmer's almanac, because the farmer's almanac kind of says like when the last frost should be and all that kind of stuff. And that's when you decide when you want to plant. You shouldn't plant anything until after the last frost. So generally speaking, in Ohio, the last frost is, well, it kind of varies by season, but you're pretty much safe the first week of June to start planting in Ohio. This year I managed to plant 2 weeks before because it seemed like, it just kind of felt like, okay, I can see the weather's turning and we don't have cold spells overnight and stuff like that. Frost being, if it goes below 40, then like it kill all your plants. So either you spend a lot of time like potentially covering your plants with plastic and stuff to keep them warm, if it does manage the frost, but most people just wait. Most people that I know, I would say that do this kind of stuff up here would wait till like June before they start doing anything. So, but I started the last 2 weeks of May, the second to last week of May is when I got everything planted, which is why I'm having stuff come up. I've had stuff come up already and starting to develop already because I definitely planted a couple weeks ahead of schedule, and I'm reaping the benefits of that right now. So I got fortunate because if there would have been another frost, then it could have killed all my stuff. So definitely didn't want that to happen. Okay. Gotta go. Nice talking. Yeah. Farmers here say it matters with the moon phases and other things. Oh, I was gonna say. Oh, you asked about like when do you pick? I mean, you basically just eyeball. I mean, you look at your stuff and you determine like, well, does it look ripe? Essentially zucchini should be green. It should be pretty long. It tells you, the package tells you about how big you expect these things to be. You don't want zucchini to get too big because then they lose their taste. And that's what you got to consider for any type of food that you grow. Especially like cucumbers, zucchini, watermelon, pumpkins. If you let some things get too big, then they don't really have as much taste. It depends on what you plan on doing with them, right? For pumpkins, for me, I just want the pumpkin seed. So I grow pumpkins. I grow jack-o'-lanterns, so that way I can, basically I can use them to carve if I wanted, or primarily just to like gut them and get the seeds from them for broiling pumpkin seeds or baking pumpkin seeds. So I like to do that. So that's how you determine, in my mind, my opinion, that's how you determine when to pick or harvest. So yeah, but take care, man. Whew. Okay, so I got around a couple of tomato plants. Like, at least we're looking a lot better. Even from a distance, we're looking a lot better there with those tomato plants. This one looks like it probably needs some water. If you notice, or I think this one just kind of, it probably actually needs some help. This may actually need like a cage, but it's not even tall enough to lean against the cage yet. So, but that one may need a cage soon because it's leaning. I don't think it's because it doesn't have enough water. I think it's because of the way the weeds were growing in. It was just like, yo, I need to grow where I can actually get sunlight and water, and the weeds were blocking it from doing that. So it's just like, well, I guess I'll go over here. That's the fascinating thing about trees and stuff, man. Like, if you've ever seen the way trees grow and you're just kind of like, why the hell did that grow like that? The easiest way to determine why is you why or how is just like you look around the trees and stuff. Like, have you ever seen trees that like grow like on an angle and then up? Chances are, if you look up, you have like maybe a bigger tree that's growing over that tree or something. And so the only way that thing was able to get sunlight and water was it had to grow outwards. And then it was like, oh, there's sun now. I can actually see. Then it grows up. So that's another very fascinating thing about the way things grow. All right, so oh, that's dead shit, whatever that is. So here's another tomato plant. Oh, there's like a group of them back there. So there has to be one. This is it right here. It looks like it looks like the top got bit off by deer or something. But at least I can still see it. At least I know. At least I can acknowledge the fact that it actually exists. I can see the fact that it actually exists. I just had this thought in my mind that I would go weed my neighbor's garden, but then I think she would actually be I think she would actually be upset by me doing that, only because I mentioned earlier that weeding and gardening in general is very it can be very therapeutic, because just like the story I was telling about Lauren earlier, is that she was upset after a long day at work and things didn't go well and stuff, and I had her come out of the garden and weed, and then she was like, you're right, like she's like, I felt so calm and stuff in there, because one, it gets you to, like, you're focused on something other than thinking about anything else. So gardening is the way to do that, is you just kind of get your mind off of shit, because you're so busy like, oh, I got to get all these weeds and I got to figure out how I'm going to do all this stuff and what I want to do with my garden. You start thinking of all this different stuff, and next thing you know, you're like, where'd all my stress go? Where'd all my anxiety go? Because you lost it all because you weren't thinking about, you weren't like the turmoil you face when thinking about stuff, or the anxiety that you get when thinking about stuff. It all just goes away because you're not thinking about it anymore. So that's what happened to her yesterday, was she learned the therapy of gardening. So, and I'm happy, I'm happy that it helped her out, because you know, people would never think. You just think like, oh, it's just a bunch of work. You know, and it is. It is a lot of work. You know, you spend a lot of time like weeding, but like at the end of the day, it's like it actually is. It's beneficial for your health. Beneficial to your health. I swear I keep hearing like these buzzing noises or shit. Like I have very sensitive ears. I can hear like sometimes the most minuscule noise. Like, I'll be like saying to someone like, "Do you hear that?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Dude, I hear like this like, fucking buzzing noise or something." Next thing you know, there's like a bee that comes from out of nowhere, and it's just like I knew I heard something. Like, what is that? Okay, I got to be careful. I'm not like actually smashing the shit out of something. So this aligns with that, I guess. But there was something definitely that should be here, but I don't think this is it. No, that's definitely not it, whatever that is. No, this is definitely not a tomato plant. I think whatever was there probably got taken by the deer. Probably. What's up, Vic? Mr. Tomato. What's up, dude? I'm probably gonna stop streaming soon because I don't know how much data I'm killing with this right now, but I don't normally go over my data plan per month, but you know, obviously I'm far away from my house, so this is not on Wi-Fi. So it's been an hour and a half, so not on Wi-Fi. So you know, I might be running out of data here or something. So yeah, I think I'll end it here. That way, then I can get my headset on and oh, nice. Get my headset on and listen to some music for the duration of gardening here and decide if I'm going to go to Home Depot and buy tomato plants and all that kind of stuff too. So thank you guys. Ooh, the sun went away again too. That's so nice. Thank you guys for everyone who stopped by for a little bit today and chit-chatted. Appreciate it. Maybe depending upon how things go today, fudge. Well, dude, it's been an hour and a half. Depending upon how things go today with weeding, like I'll probably end up maybe doing another one tomorrow morning or something, because I don't think I'm going to be able to weed everything today. It's way too much, but I may, because what I'll probably end up doing, I'll do the tomatoes, figure out what tomato plants I have and don't have, and then go to Home Depot and just buy tomato plants to fill in the ones that are missing, and then that way I'll at least have some stuff that will be coming up. So thanks guys again, and I will see you next time. Bye bye. Toodaloos.